director level, many confidential files were destroyed by mistake, although there was no evidence of a conspiracy. During the investigation into Rabbi, Islington refused to interview any of the children in care, or scandalously helped, or not helped I should say, Sussex police identify other children in Rabet's photos. Rabet finally fled to Thailand's notorious child sex resort after the White Inquiry. He was arrested there in spring of 2006 and charged with abusing 30 boys, some as young as 6. The Thai police believed he had abused at least 300. 2 other Jersey-born social workers, who for legal reasons cannot be named, also worked in Islington, and later with young offenders. One arranged more of the mysterious sailing trips to Guernsey, and the other sent children to Rabet's centre. Both have been accused of abuse. Chief Officer Graham Power said that because of the size of the island, which has a population of around 90,000, it was inevitable that those in positions of power were implicated. I think it is absolutely shocking how these kind of things can be covered up, but if you look into all the different child abuse officials and people in power, they do cover these things up, and these are the people we put into power and employ, and we put our trust in them. My next 2 articles are linked. One is about food shortages, and the other is about how half the world's population will be living in city centres. The first article, by the Times newspaper, the headline says, Food shortages loom as wheat crops shrink and prices rise. It says the world is only 10 weeks away from running out of wheat supplies, after stocks fell to their lowest levels in 50 years. The crisis has pushed prices to an all-time high and could lead to further hikes in the price of bread, beer, biscuits and other basic foods. But what you have to remember, people, is that whoever controls the food controls the people. You have to remember this when reading these type of articles. At the moment, big corporations are buying up farms, and they already own lots of the food supply. This is giving them control of our food. I'll carry on with the article. This crisis comes after 2 successive years of disastrous wheat harvests, which saw production fall from 624 million to 600 million tonnes, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. Experts blame climate change. But what you have to remember is, who are these experts? Other experts say planets in our solar system are warming up. Is that because we have caused it? I don't think so. The experts have blamed climate change, as heat waves caused a slump in harvest last year in Eastern Europe, Canada, Morocco and Australia, all big wheat producers. If you check out the news site, the Edge news site, you'll see articles that have been put on about the climate change and the way we have had, well, last year was one of the coldest years, and the way the sun is giving out more heat through its cycles in the universe. The article also says booming populations and a switch to a meat-rich diet in the developing world means that about 110 million tonnes of Wales' annual wheat crop is being diverted to feed livestock. Short-term pressures have compounded the problem. The problem I see with all this anyway is here in England where I live, we pay farmers not to farm the land. So why do we pay them? Why don't they just grow the crops and supply us? In the next report, the United Nations said in a new report released on Tuesday that by the end of this year, 1/2 of the world's population will be living in cities for the first time in human history. As urbanisation increases, the world's rural population is expected to begin to decline in around a decade and should fall to 2.8 billion people in 2050 from 3.4 billion in 2007, the report said. Some countries like India, home to two of the world's biggest metropolises, Mumbai and Delhi, with 19 and 18.8 million people respectively in 2007, aimed to slow down the process of urbanisation by encouraging development in rural areas. Despite the challenges urbanisation poses for governments and local authorities, the head of the UN Population Division told reporters urbanisation is generally a sign of a lively economy. Intense urbanisation and the expected addition of 8 new megacities, cities with 10 million or more inhabitants by the year 2025 will pose new challenges. Governments need to make sure large urban populations have access to basic services, above all healthcare, he said. He also said Asia and Africa are still mostly rural, but will see booming urban populations over the next few decades. Both have around 40% in cities and 60% in the countryside now, but this is steadily changing. Half of Africa's population will be in cities by between 2045 and 2050, while Asia will reach that point between 2020 and 2025. My conclusions to both these articles can be found in the United Nations own documents, as they want people to live in cities, and a good way they can do this is by raising the price of foods and fuel, so it will be hard to live in the countryside. People will have to move to the cities. As you can see around you now, fuel prices are rising. Your heating bills are going up, your electricity, your gas, your fuel for your car. But nobody seems to mind. Also in the United Nations documents, it is also said they would like to have no private property, so you could not own your own home. The worrying part I find is that it also says in the reports that there would be flash mobs in the streets, and what they would do to combat this. The problem I have is they do not say why there will be flash mobs in the streets. My conclusion is it's because they will put prices up on your food and your fuel. They will put your bills up high in taxes and things like that. So people will find it hard to feed themselves or to keep themselves warm in winter. This could be what causes the flash mobs or the riots in the streets. I suppose the lead on to all that is this article in the Daily Mail in the UK. Tax inspectors have been given wide-ranging new powers to book people's homes and private phone calls. They also have the go-ahead to check emails and plant listening devices people's cars and offices.